talking to a Marshal Vinod Patney in the playlist Going Strong. We were talking about India's participation in operations in Kargil, the role of Air Force. My next question to you is that during these operations, India lost 2 aircrafts and 1 helicopter, and this was as a result of the surface-to-air missiles employed by the Pakistanis. Now, this in retrospect, what lessons did we learn, or what future points came out of this loss?
It's always very sad for a commander to speak about aircraft losses. Yes. But in the many hundreds of sorties that we did, these are the 3 losses that we suffered. The first one was on day 2, when one of our MiG-27 aeroplanes, doing a second attack over a target, his engine flamed out and it couldn't be relit and he ejected. Now it is true that the MiG-27 aircraft note said that if you are going to fire these high caliber rockets, there is a chance of an engine surge at high altitude. Well, the first attack, nothing happened. Then the second attack, the engine flamed out and he went through. Over here, I want to make one other point clear. Kargil took place in 1999. That was 28 years after the Air Force had fired a shot in anger, 1971. Yes. Nobody in the field had any operational experience at all. Those in the higher rungs of the Air Force, there were very few who were there during 1971 who had actually got operational experience, very few. So in other words, this was all happening. Was I conscious of it? Very much so. Very much so. And I was not willing at that particular point in time to stop this. Brings me to the second aircraft that we lost. When these MiG-27s were operating and one pilot had to eject out because of engine failure, another pilot who had been tasked to carry out reconnaissance of that area to see as to what was the effectiveness of their bombs, he was armed with a recce pod, which was a huge big thing which made that aircraft like a bullock cart. So he decided to do something very wise. So he roamed around in that particular area to be able to find out as to where that pilot had ejected, so that he could then radio back to ask a helicopter to come and pick him up.
Okay.
But because, as I said, the aircraft with this pod was heavy, it lost height. And as it lost height, it got hit by a missile and he also ejected. Ahuja is this name. Yes. The first pilot was Nachiketa. Nachiketa was taken POW. So was Ahuja. Nachiketa was returned to us in time. Ahuja was returned to us in a coffin. And when we took that coffin apart, we found as to how badly he had been tortured before death. Yes. Tortured. It was
absolutely disregarding Geneva Conventions.
Terrible.
And yes.
Terrible. So that was the second aircraft. Now, should Ahuja have descended below, because it was not part of his mission? His mission was to photograph.
Yes.
But as I said, that over here, look at what he did. It was the esprit de corps that he displayed to say, can I get one of my pilots who had just gone down, help him, so that he can come back from there. It is a spirit that I was not willing to
overlook. Yes.
Neither was I willing to say that he has made a mistake and pass that lesson to all the others concerned. If anybody wanted to use their initiative, I was all for it, because I thought that it was an essential and the correct thing to do. Somebody jokingly asked me, what would you have done with him had he lived? And I said I would have given him a medal and a kick. A medal for thinking like so, and a kick for going against his mission. Okay. At the same time, one helicopter got lost, was shot. This helicopter, we had passed instructions that all these helicopters, when they are operating, must be armed with, what do you call these, flares.
Yes.
The flares that are fired before you, as you get closer.
IR flares. Yes.
IR flares. So that any missile will get taken over. It so happened that number 3 of the 4 aircraft formation did not have the flares. There was a limitation in terms of the number of flares available and the number of flare holders available which could be there. And that was one shot. But the shooting did not take place from in front. The shooting, as far as I saw it, took place from the left. And that's how it happened. Lots of people turned around and said that you should have taken to task whoever was the squadron commander that allowed that aircraft to fly. I said, in that case, you'd find fault with me, because after all, the responsibility rests with the commander.
Yes.
And I was not willing to tell that squadron commander, who had exercised initiative, to let him go. Please remember that under those circumstances, we did not expect a thing like this to happen. Because we were not conscious that the Pakistani capability was poor and could not happen. But should this aircraft have operated in the first instance? I have covered that earlier.
Yes.
We used it only because we wanted it that he could come a little closer.
Yes.
And if he came closer and he had a large number of weapons which could cover an area, it would be wise to do so. But I repeat, and I say this again with conviction, that a helicopter has no place in a hostile environment. Should not have been done.
Thank you very much. You brought it out very well, and I am sure the viewers would hugely benefit from this. Please stay on. Our conversation would continue. Thank you.